the Hang Seng market, which is actually keeping its head above the water. That's up 450 points as we speak.
Chola Vineyards IPO opens today and the issue ends on 14th of December. The issue size is 960 odd crores. The price band is 340 to 357 rupees per share.
I think technology and the role of technology in businesses has never been higher.
We've given a narrow guidance of 16 to 17% on services.
The Nifty is down about 90 odd points. It's a 0.5% cut that you're staring at on the index.
India could turn out to be a little more vulnerable as a consequence of what we're likely to see.
They're saying that Q3 revenue growth is going to be impacted by higher than usual furloughs.
Chinese steel prices are now near $575 per ton. Landed in India, this works out to around 50 to 53,000 rupees a ton.
The Nifty, as we speak, is holding above that 18,500 mark.
This was under the ESOP plan, and some of the shareholders exercised the right to apply for the shares.
To make sure that we ease off the congestion at our airports, I made a physical visit today.
As far as the markets are concerned, it has fallen sharply from the highs. So it's a 50-point cut that we're seeing on the Nifty.
Okay, that's the day so far. You're with us here on Closing Bell. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Reema and Nigel. Guys, hi, good afternoon. In the last 10 minutes or so, unfortunately for bulls, there is a little bit more pressure which has appeared. I mean, I think about 25 odd points downward pressure in the last 10 minutes. So 18,445. It still counts as a decent, good recovery from the lows, but the market has not gone all the way, which it looked like it would, right? Which is basically being flat to higher. We were higher at one point in the day, but that pressure has seeped back in once again. Global action, I mean, Asia, you look at US futures, it's more negative than positive, so there's no help from there. The 20-day on the Nifty is 18,502. We, by the way, crossed that earlier this morning when the market came back into the green. So I think that's the level to watch on the upside. Market breadth, that has worsened significantly from the time that we started. So advanced decline now is 1:1, but it's relative, right? In the morning, you almost had 2.5, 3 stocks gaining to one stock which was falling. That's now evened out. PSU banks, I mean, there is no stopping. That space is up once again, 0.8%. But there is also the oil and gas stocks which are doing well once again. So, I mean, that's the oil marketing pack and a bunch of others, which we will talk about in a bit from now. Of course, the real global action will only pick up later in the week with the CPI and then, of course, followed by the FOMC decision. Reema, hi.
Hi, Prashant. Hi, Nigel. And it's the IT index, which attempted a recovery, a very smart recovery at about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. But since then has slipped a bit, especially in the last 1 hour or so. So the Nifty IT index is down 1%. You know, the global macro indicators have been flashing red for a while now. But what's changed is finally the companies are coming out and saying that things are deteriorating. On Friday, we had HCL Technology. Today, we had a chat with the management of Latent View Analytics, a data analytics company, and they said 4 out of the 50 companies are talking about the possibility of a budget cut next year. MK met with the top management of LTI Mindtree, L&T Infotech Mindtree, the merged entity, and they've also acknowledged that Q3 revenues are going to be impacted by higher than expected furloughs. So finally now companies are, realizing that the lay of the land perhaps has deteriorated and it's going to be impacting their business. And that's what's changed for the IT companies just in the last few days. Apart from that, markets are in a bit of a wait and watch approach because back home, we're expecting macro data at 5:30 p.m. tonight. Today evening, we're going to be getting the October IIP data and the November CPI data. October IIP is seen lower, minus 0.8% is the estimate. And that's because this time, we're going to have fewer working days in the month of October as Diwali fell in October. So on account of fewer working days, the IIP data is seen in negative territory, but inflation is expected to continue with its downward trajectory, 9-month low on CPI inflation. That's the estimate that Ritu has pulled from The Economist. So the street is going to be watching out for this very closely. The impact on the market may not be much because the RBI policy just got concluded last week, but nonetheless, very important to track as well, while we, of course, await what's happened on the global front and the macro indicators there. Nigel.
Well, that's right. The call earlier this morning was try to buy the Nifty at around 18,350, and that precisely worked, right? So the Nifty, though, has given off from moving into the green. It's a little bit lower, but I'll still say the session is good. And I say that because the Nifty is down, but the mid-cap index is more or less flattish, and still you have pretty much even Stevens, 1:1 in terms of advanced decline ratio. The small cap index is still up close to around 0.2% to around 0.3%. So I like that. Now, in terms of the options data, the 18,400 put, we'll just take a look at it. We have been talking about the Nifty being down 50, 60 points. If you bought that put, you're making no money. That gives you a sense that it's writing at that particular strike. So with the Nifty down 60 points, still the premium on that 18,400 put hasn't moved up. In fact, it's moved down. So aggressive writing is what we are seeing at this particular level. On the flip side, the 18,500 call as well as the 18,600 call, there's a fair bit of writing at both these two strikes as well. So plugging in the numbers then, today's intraday low, 18,345, becomes a crucial first level of support. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. On the upside, since there is writing at around that 18,600, 18,500 a call, the 18,600 call, by the way, the premium is around 40 rupees. So plug that in, 18,650 becomes a bit of a resistance zone. Let's see which way this swings. But for the time being, the buy or dips continue till today's low does hold out. Back to you.
Okay, let's tell our viewers then what we've lined up on closing bell today. Jayaprakash Associates surges on news of a board meet today to assess the progress made on its divestment initiatives and buzz of a deal brewing between the JP Group and Dalmia Bharat. Details coming up on the show. IT companies in the spotlight amid global slowdown concerns. HCL Tech's management tells CNBC-TV18 high furloughs may not be unique to the Noida-based company. Key management commentary later on the show. Escorts Kubota in focus after the company unveils a business plan to grow revenues more than 2.5 times by FY28. Key excerpts from our conversation with the management also on closing bell today. And India's largest winemaker, Sula Vineyards, 960 crore rupee IPO opens for subscription. Details on the show. We'll discuss all things market with Punita Kumar Sinha of Pacific Paradigm Advisors. All this and much more in the next 60 minutes, the final hour of trading.